Welcome to the Great White Brotherhood YouTube channel.
Hello everyone, welcome back. We'll be continuing on with chapter 1 of the book, The Path of Mankind. So this will be part 2, and we'll see how far we get. I do have a limit on how long I can record for, so that's mainly why this is being broken up into parts. I have 30 minutes, so we'll see if we can finish chapter 1 in 30 minutes, or if there'll have to be a part 3 to this. Okay. It was decided to put these people above the law, and the system of making them rulers was introduced. Further, over time, it was found that not all psychopaths could be made into kings or queens. So other systems were set up, placing as many archon influenced people in positions of power and authority, the idea being that if they were placed in situations where the archon influence for various forms of negativity could be exercised, but the people being influenced were above the law, untouchable by any person not thinking as they did. So, over many generations, in virtually all countries of the world, the psychopathic people are in the top positions, outside of any control by other, more noble people. All this was kept strictly secret from the public, who, if they had been informed of what was going on, would have taken steps to remedy the situation. So, this is the sad state that the physical world and the physical situation is in. This book is, in part, intended to be an alarm call, a wake up call of what is going on. Now, it must be explained that not all people in power are archon controlled psychopaths, but it must be realized that many, indeed most, are. However, nothing lasts forever. The only constant is change, and change is, at last, occurring, both in the physical part of planet Earth and, more importantly, in the etheric and spiritual dimensions. This takes the form of an energetic wave rising that will eventually wake people up to realize their spiritual makeup as they start to make contact with their higher vibrational bodies and take steps to eliminate from power these archonic driven souls who have been causing so much harm for so long. However, the archons, like so many psychopaths, have in their base drive fear. They are constantly on the lookout for attack. God loving people do not require fear as a dominant part of their personalities, as they instinctively know that they are a part of the God force, and God is love. If the love given by God is an integral part of the personality of virtually all people, having been made by this force we call God, fear has very little hold over them, even those who pretend that God does not exist. So, love for all humanity is present in the makeup of most people, with the exception of psychopaths and, more importantly, the psychopaths under the domination of the archons. With this group, fear is their dominant motive and controls most of their actions. They are constantly on the lookout for any force, any action, by any person or group that could attack them and reduce their control. So, they take whatever actions they can to prevent anything from happening that could affect them in any way. This fear of attack manifests itself in many ways. They ban people from demonstrating for peace if they can. They fill the leisure moments of many people with various entertainments, sport, TV, cinema, and so on, that keeps the people from thinking. They fill the entertainment areas with as much violence as they can in the desire to keep the public in a state of negativity so that the actions of the leaders are not far removed from the actions portrayed in so-called entertainment. I think we can see this happening, well, certainly before and certainly now. Thus, there is much importance placed on sports, boxing, football, rugby, swimming, running, and all the various athletic sports, all designed to be competitive and all designed to keep people in fear in case their sportsman, their team, fails to win. The television is full of films of violence and programs of the harmful things going on in the world, all designed to generate fear. The financial situation is designed to create fear in case there is not sufficient money earned to survive. All this has been carefully designed for two reasons: to promote fear, which is archonic in nature, to make the public as much like the leaders as possible so that they do not see what the leaders are doing, as the thoughts of the public are similar to the thoughts of the psychopaths that are in power. These archon controlled psychopaths understand that if the public realized their God force and turned to it, they would see through what has been constructed by the archons and would remove their minions, your leaders, from power. This day, fortunately, will come. It is time. The reason why it is time will be discussed in a later chapter, but rest assured that the time has come. It has started, but it is still a ways away. But the time has started. Now, it is suggested by many that the archons use fear as food. This is not strictly true. Non physical beings do not require sustenance. Okay, that's very important. All these talks of, sacrificing humans so that their gods like archons can eat is not true. They're non physical beings and do not require sustenance. However, it is also true that all energy expended must be replaced from somewhere. Physical people eat to sustain physical life. Astral beings naturally draw sustenance from the God force that is everywhere. However, the archons, being negative, have cut themselves off from the God force, so that cannot sustain them. Therefore, they do not. Therefore, they do use fear, generated by their actions, as a sort of sustenance. It has actually very little regenerative power compared to the God force, but it is all they have. It must be realized that, being non physical, they cannot die, but they can grow weak. In the past, they managed, through wars, slavery, and serf systems, heartless religions, and so on, to create a lot of fear, which sustained them, but nowadays, even wars create less fear, as there is very little hand-to-hand combat, which was a source of generating actual terror. So, the latest thing that has been invented is terrorism. Terrorism. We could go on. However, the means of combating these archons is simply to starve them of fear by the act of laying down our arms and coming together in brotherly love. To achieve this, however, will take time, as we have, in a way, a chicken and egg situation. To defeat the archons, we need peace, but to create peace, we need to defeat the archons. However, we are not alone in this battle. The most important thing is a natural cycle that is occurring, that is moving the galactic system into a time of peace. As the effect of this is felt by more and more people, so the tide will turn. This will happen. It is inevitable, and the archons know this, which is why they're putting so much effort into a last ditch attempt to cause chaos, which we will see more and more as we go along, unfortunately. It is the nature of archons that if they can't have something, they will destroy so that no one can have it. That is their aim, their goals, and they're using certain people in positions of power families, elites, to try and achieve that means. And well, we'll just have to see how it unfolds. So we must be on the qui vive. I hope I said that correctly. For any by psychopaths being influenced by archons to create a nuclear war. Once again, we will get help should this idea come to fruition, and a nuclear war will not be allowed to happen. Okay? That's very important. No matter what we see in the news, whatever's being told to us, a nuclear war will not be allowed to happen. Thus, the ultimate destiny of man is to live in peace. The period that we are all going through at the moment is just the start. This period of peace will grow over time and will indeed last for many thousands of years, just as the period of negativity lasted for many thousands of years. We might consider life as an invisible wave of energy rising and falling over vast periods of time. Fortunately, we have struck the nadir, the most negative part, so the only way is up towards positivity. It all happens slowly. The speed that it happens is, in part, connected to something called collective consciousness. And so, as very few people are actively working for good at the moment, the rise in consciousness is limited. But each day, more and more people wake up their spiritual origin. So, with each person that takes the path towards God, so the ascension accelerates. Thus, the destiny of man is to live in peace with himself and his fellow man. Further, as mankind awakes to his spiritual reality, so he will discover that he does, indeed, contain these 7 auras associated with him, and will develop the desire to explore these auras and the dimensions upon which they are placed. This will eventually open the door to the development of a number of accomplishments that would seem almost magical at the moment. It must be borne in mind that man is made by the God force, and God like and is godlike, should he realize it. I'll repeat that sentence. It must be borne in mind that man is made by the God force and is godlike, should he realize it. Just as, in the past, beings thought of as angelic came and interacted with certain people and were observed to have what were thought of as angelic gifts, so man is similar. Man is a similar angelic being and would have similar powers. The people who saw angelic beings saw them as beings of light. Now, vibration is closely connected to light. Further, the most important power in the universe is consciousness. Thus, if a person had his God consciousness greatly developed, his body, which is under the control of his consciousness, would perforce change. As God consciousness is light, the more consciousness a person incorporates into his personality, the more it will affect change in his physical body. Therefore, if a person was truly imbued with God consciousness, his body would start to glow with God's light, a spiritual light shining in the dark. This is the destiny of all mankind, to become beings of light living on a planet of light. There would be no place for darkness. One day, everything will be aglow with spiritual light. Does this sound like a fairy tale? Maybe it does at the moment, but the ascension movement is just at its beginning. In time, as man draws into his auras the God force, and as that God force enters his physical body, so that God force, which manifests itself as light, will transform the human body into a body of light, reflecting to all the transformative power of God. Light is actually all that exists. As the only thing that exists is the God force, life, that God force is the light of God. Can you imagine being a being of light like an angel? Possibly not. But it is entirely possible, if not probable, right now. However, for future generations, it will become fact. How long this transformation will take depends on each individual and also the collective consciousness. But it will happen. Further, other magical effects will occur. The collective and individual consciousness is closely connected to the God force. God, the creator of all that is, does not put a limit on itself. So we will have no limit on ourselves as we advance towards God. The only limit will be the limits that we impose on ourselves. So, somewhat magical events will be perfectly possible. Teleportation will be the standard form of transport, as it is in the astral realms. Telepathy will be the normal form of contact, as it is in the higher realms. Food will be made from the ether. It actually is now, but due to the limitation of the planets and our level of spirituality, it has to pass through physical things. Further, the spiritual force that imbues all things will manifest itself in creating a more vibrant planet. Your home planet, Earth, will shake off its blanket of negativity that has for so long cloaked it, the negative thoughts of man's creation, and reveal its true colors. The color of the sky will be a more vibrant blue, and the flowers of the field will grow in such profusion and with such colors that would be unimaginable at the moment. Naturally, there will be no slaughter of animals, as sustenance will be created from the ether. Animals will become our friends rather than our victims, and will be left to prosper as nature intended, nurtured by man rather than exploited. Thus will all life live in peace and harmony together as one, as was intended. The change will come slowly, but it behoves all who can speed that day by meditating, praying, and by respecting all life. Thus, we wish to make it plain to all that the dark world in which you have all lived for so long is changing. Life is progressing from the negative concept, which is all any of you have known, up into a world of light. Light chases darkness. Darkness disappears as soon as light is projected into it. Darkness is an illusion. If it was real, light could not make it disappear. But the simple fact that light shone into any area of darkness transforms it into light, thus demonstrates that darkness is an illusion. God's light is starting to illuminate the world and shine into the collective consciousness. Thus, it is inevitable that, in the degree that light illuminates every corner of God's creation, darkness will disappear, leaving the evil ones exposed for who they really are. With God's light comes love, love for all things, and where there is love and light, there cannot be fear. Fear is created by shutting out light and making people live in the dark. People are naturally afraid of the dark because they do not know what menace might exist in a corner, lurking, waiting to attack a defenseless person. However, once we shine light into the area, we quickly see that in all probability there was nothing there to fear except fear itself. It was mentioned earlier that the driving force of archons is fear. Thus, they have, for long ages, created darkness, spiritual darkness, if not actual darkness, so that people live in fear, which helps energize the archons. Light is coming, and that day will arrive when the worst fear of the archons will happen: exposure. The archon's secret. The key to their success was secrecy. Secrets can only be kept if there's no exposure, and so they have tried their best to keep light from shining on them. They are doomed to fail. Light is coming, and that day will arrive when they will be exposed, alongside the people they have victimized, the psychopaths that have both ruled you and kept you in the dark. When this day occurs, and it will, we must turn to God and become godlike in our response to them. We must forgive them, for they know not what they do. In a way, they are innocent because to behave in a psychopathic way is all they know. Equally, their masters, the archons, do not know any other behavior than what they are programmed by time to do, so it would not be correct to punish them even if such a thing were possible. But equally, there would be no place for either there would be no place either for archons or psychopaths in this new light-filled world. So, A way must be found to isolate them from the rest of humanity. This will be happening in a spiritual manner anyway. As most of humanity starts to fill themselves with light and spiritual power, the relatively few psychopaths that, remember, have no access to the light will be left, scratching their heads and wondering just what is going on. However, they have not been removed from power yet, and so we do not need to take a decision as to how we will deal with these evil people. One thing is certain: their time is over, their power is fading. Light is already shining on them and revealing their negative actions. Already, the archons and their minions are feeling this light penetrating their world, revealing their dark secrets. I think we're seeing that more and more, although it's still an uphill battle. So we advance in peace, drawing the power of God towards us, filling ourselves slowly with light, shining that light into the world, illuminating the dark corners, removing darkness, removing fear, and replacing it with love. This is the destiny, the goal of man, to become a being of light, a reflection of the God force. So that is the end of chapter 1. Thankfully, I was able to do it in 2 parts. And if you have any questions or any comments, please leave them in the applicable sections, part 1, or of course you can save your questions up and leave them in under this video in part 2. And I will see what questions you have, and if there's a need for a follow-up video to answer your questions, I will certainly do so. If not, I'll see you in another video for chapter 2. Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching this video. Please visit our website at thegreatwhitebrotherhood.org for free books and lessons to help you on your spiritual journey.